Our next guest is a player who, once again, was not gifted in terms of height, but at around 5 feet 6 inches, was an energetic creator and provider of goals. As an attacking midfield player, Eric Gates blasted a goal in every 4 games for Ipswich, but he'd probably be better appreciated by the likes of Paul Mariner, Alan Brazil and John Walk for his many assists. Possibly the practical joker of the team, he once entered the field of play wearing a wig.
It's Gates. Superb goal by Eric Gates. And Gates shoots and scores.
And it's Gates who's in the wrong side of Ross. Can he pull one back? What an incredible goal.
Eric Gates knew exactly who he was. He wasn't the prototype of a modern superstar, the kind of player whose off-field presence could rival their impact on the pitch. He didn't crave attention or bend to the spotlight's demands. What he wanted was simpler: the ball at his feet, teammates who could trust him, and enough space to exploit the blind spots defenders always leave behind. His career, spanning over 15 years in professional football,
who receives the ball, it's a good cross, and Gates makes it 3-2.
Was a masterclass in maximising talent without ever betraying his humility. Gates excelled in moments of intuition, moments when everything that mattered could change in a heartbeat, and he was ready. Born on June the 28th, 1955, in the mining town of Ferry Hill, County Durham, Gates grew up surrounded by the values that shaped much of working-class England at the time: discipline, hard work, and a sense of pride in earning everything you got. Ferry Hill was no different from dozens of other communities where football served as both escape and aspiration. Boys played on uneven pitches with makeshift goals, dreaming of professional careers that would lift them beyond the coal-stained realities their fathers knew too well. Gates wasn't born into privilege, nor did he display prodigious talent that marked him as a future star. His journey was one of steady progression, built on grit and a keen footballing intelligence. "I wasn't the most gifted player, not naturally," Gates said years later, reflecting on how he made the jump to the professional ranks. "But I was clever. I studied players, watched what they did right and wrong. I knew how to make the most of what I had." That intelligence, combined with technical skill, caught the attention of scouts at Ipswich Town. Managed by Sir Bobby Robson, the club was emerging as a force in English football during the early 1970s. Robson had a reputation for spotting players who could fit into his vision, and Gates, with his sharp mind and adaptability, fit the mould perfectly.
Frontman Jeff and I played just off them in a hole, we called it, and it worked for 4 or 5 years.
At Ipswich, Gates found the ideal environment to develop, a team that valued teamwork, precision and discipline over individual stardom. It wasn't long before he made his first team debut, quietly working his way into a side that would go on to achieve greatness. By the time Ipswich reached their peak in the late 70s and early 80s, Gates had become an integral part of the squad. His role wasn't always glamorous, he wasn't the leading scorer, or the type of player who dominated match reports, but those who understood football knew his value.
Looking for Gates to give it so that he can get the return. Beautiful pace ball from Gates. A lovely drive on the right foot, surprisingly, and whistling into the side netting.
Robson once described him as the glue in the attack, the player who could knit together the movement of others with his awareness of space and timing. Eric wasn't the kind to do stepovers or beat 5 players, Robson said, but he'd see a gap before anyone else did, and he'd be there to exploit it. Gates formed part of an attacking unit that included Paul Mariner, a powerful and prolific striker, and John Walk, the box-to-box midfielder who could score goals with ease.
Gates holds on from North. Walk. Oh, he's got it! John Walk!
While Mariner and Walk often took the spotlight, it was Gates who provided the connective tissue. His passing, movement, and ability to draw defenders out of position made life easier for his teammates. "Eric was a thinking man's footballer," Mariner once said. "He wasn't flashy, but he could do things that made the rest of us look good." The 1980-81 season stands out as the pinnacle of Gates's time at Ipswich. The club were competing at the highest level, not just domestically but in Europe, and they embarked on a memorable UEFA Cup campaign. Gates played a crucial role throughout, as Ipswich navigated their way through tough opponents to reach the final against AZ Alkmaar. The two-legged affair ended in triumph, with Ipswich lifting the trophy after a commanding performance. For Gates, it was a moment of vindication, a reward for years of quiet, consistent work. "We weren't just a team," Gates recalled. "We were a family under Bobby. He made you feel like you belonged, like you had a purpose." Winning the UEFA Cup wasn't just about talent, it was about trust. But even in the glow of European success, Gates remained overlooked on the international stage. He earned just 2 caps for England, both coming in 1980, a fact that many consider a glaring oversight. Some blamed the era's rigid selection criteria. Others suggested that Gates' understated style didn't appeal to managers looking for players who fit more traditional molds. Gates himself never dwelled on the matter. "Would I have liked more chances with England? Of course," he said, "but it didn't define me. My job was to perform for my club, and I think I did that." By the mid-1980s, change was inevitable. Ipswich's golden era was fading, and Gates, now an established veteran, was ready for a new challenge. He returned to his roots, signing for Sunderland in 1985, a move that held sentimental value. Sunderland, the club from the region where he had grown up, were in need of experienced players to help guide them back to the top flight. Gates delivered, playing a key role in their promotion to the First Division during the 1987-88 season. Though the pace of the game had evolved, Gates adapted, relying more on his footballing brain than on any remaining physical attributes.
Vidini can catch this. Squares it back. Gates scores. Yes, Sunderland deservedly take the lead.
At Sunderland, he was once again the player who did the small things right: timed passes, clever movement, and leadership on the pitch. His influence was noted by teammates who recognised that Gates's knowledge of the game often spared them from making mistakes. "He'd tell you where to be before you even knew where the ball was going," a former teammate remarked. "It was like having a coach playing alongside you." By 1990, Gates knew his playing days were winding down. He retired quietly, without the fanfare that often accompanies players with long careers. But Gates wasn't interested in grand send-offs or media tributes. "I never needed the applause," he said. "I just wanted to do my job and enjoy it. When that was done, I was happy to step aside."
Forward to find Armstrong. Early cross. Yes, it's there. Sunderland have pulled one back.
Retirement for Gates didn't mean disappearing completely. He stayed involved in football, albeit in modest roles, coaching at local levels, appearing occasionally as a pundit, and offering advice to younger players. His insights were always sharp, reflecting the same understanding of the game that had defined his career, but he resisted the lure of major managerial positions, happy to let others take the spotlight. Looking back on Gates's career, it's easy to understand why he is remembered so fondly by the fans of Ipswich and Sunderland. He wasn't the type of player who would be immortalised in statues or grand tributes, but his legacy endures in the memories of those who watched him play. His teammates knew what he brought to the table, and for supporters, he embodied a work ethic and humility that resonated deeply. Gates summed it up best when reflecting on his journey.
Ball into Davray, here's Gates. Oh, that's a tremendous goal! Eric Gates gets his second of the match. The Ipswich Town captain. Lovely ball actually by Sunderland with the outside of the foot. Knocked down by Davray, but talk about an instant volley.
Football is about moments. You won't remember every match or every goal, but you'll remember the times when everything clicked, when the team worked as one, and you knew you were part of something special. That's what stays with you. In an era where footballers are often defined by their brand as much as their talent, Eric Gates stands as a reminder of a different time, a time when players could build careers on substance rather than spectacle. He wasn't perfect, but he didn't need to be. He was enough, and for those who shared the pitch with him, that was more than enough. The game, like life, rewards those who understand timing, who know when to act and when to step back. Gates mastered that balance, and his legacy endures because of it.